The Rays finish their road trip on a high, taking 3 straight from the top team in the American League. And tonight, they look to keep the good times rolling as rookie right-hander Jake Faria goes to the hill in an interleague showdown with the hoppy Brew Crew from Milwaukee. We welcome you. The Rays are back home at Tropicana Field and happy to be here as they begin a 3-team homestand. 10 days, 9 games, the first team in, the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. We'll hear from Alex Cordry in a moment. Well, the Rays have won 3 out of 4 against the Houston Astros to finish the road trip, building some momentum. And speaking of building momentum, that's something Evan Longoria seems to do every year. He's gotten better with each passing month this year.
Meaningful games, and Evan Longoria, we know that he loves to play meaningful games. And if you go back to June the 23rd, 35 games, Evan Longoria is getting on one of those runs. A .321 average, 18 extra base hits, 7 of them home runs, and look at that, driven in 28 runs, getting big hits for the Rays. And it's real simple. In the last 35 games, he's walked just 5 times. What does that tell you? His approach has been extremely aggressive, and that is what has spurred him on to put up these kind of numbers. Look for him to continue that throughout really the rest of the season. Travis Shaw, speaking of the rest of the season and all season long, he has been extremely productive. 74 runs driven in on the year, but look what he's done in the last 31 games. A .296 average, 10 of the 15 extra base hits have been home runs, 23 runs driven in, and he is the anchor in the middle of this Milwaukee Brewer lineup. You can't let that guy beat you.
Well, Steven Souza Jr. has had a major impact on the Rays, putting up career numbers across the board in all these offensive categories, and a big part of the win, the final win in Houston. Alex will have more when we return.
watching Rays baseball on Fox Sports Sun, and after missing Tuesday and Wednesday night's game with a left foot contusion, Steven Souza Jr. returned to the lineup on Thursday and showed no signs of slowing down, coming up big for the Rays in their win. And you can see, after being sidelined after 2 games, there was no rust for Souza. Defensively, he was flashing the leather, making that terrific catch. And not to mention, he put together a big night offensively, launching a solo home run in the 6th before hitting a 2-run double in the 7th. Manager Kevin Cash likes the way Souza continues to deliver for the Rays in a big way.
Big hits, that's why you miss him. He's not in the lineup. I know he banged his foot up, but we need his bat because he bounces us out. He gives us that right-hander in there that thickens us up and challenges righty or lefty. And he came up with 2 huge hits.
And they're looking for another big night from Steven Souza Jr. because Game 1 of this 3-game series is coming your way as the Rays return for a 9-game, 10-day homestand, and they'll look to kick it off in the right way. Fox Sports Sun for your home for Rays baseball, coming your way next.
Rays return home to Tropicana Field, and tonight to open this series against Milwaukee will be right-hander Jake Faria, 24 years old. After win number 6 comes in 5-1, and this will be the starting lineup he'll face for the Milwaukee Brewers. Eric Thames leads it off. He is the DH. Domingo Santana in right hits second. Ron Braun in left, the number 3 hitter. Travis Shaw, and what a year he's having at third. Shaw, the cleanup man. Jesus Aguilar is at first. Ron Perez is at second base. The catcher hitting 7th is Manny Pena. Deion Broxton is in center field. He'll hit 8th. And Orlando Arcia is the shortstop, and he'll hit 9th for Milwaukee.
Well, Jake Faria already making his 11th start of the season. The record very good, 5-1, ERA 2.93, 61 in the third innings. He's coming off an abbreviated start against the Yankees in New York, went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, but did have 5 walks in that game. So look for that to be a focal point here tonight. Fill up the strike zone against a lineup that's never seen you.
Well, Eric Thames will be the DH and the leadoff man, leading off for only the 2nd time this year, 2nd straight game. And the first pitch is a fastball in there, and he takes it for strike 1. Thames got off to that very hot start for Milwaukee, right now 7th in the National League in home runs. And Faria quickly ahead of him, 0-2.
Yeah, pound that strike zone. And Craig Counsell, doing what we've seen a lot of other managers do, get a guy with power up to the front of the lineup to lead things off.
And a cut and a miss. Well, Faria got ahead of him and then had him out in front.
Well, a couple of fastballs, and then here we go. Here comes that split changeup, and that one just kind of moves off. The change of speed got him, and also that arm side little tailing action off the plate. 3 pitches. Great start here for Jake Faria. The other thing Counsell's trying to do with Thames going up to the leadoff spot is try to jumpstart this offense a little bit. They've been struggling as of late.
Cut and a miss by Santana. When you look at the numbers of these two teams, remarkably similar in a number of areas. Counsell in his 3rd year as the manager in Milwaukee. A big cut and a miss at the fastball, 0-2.
Yeah, and nothing fancy about this at all. Jake Faria just rearing back with a low 90s fastball, and Santana not really even close to it.
And a fly ball into right. Right there to make the catch is Souza Jr. So strikeout and a fly ball out. 2 up, 2 down.
Can't be much more efficient than Jake has been here in the early going. Here's the Rays defense brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. In the outfield left to right, we've got Dickerson, Smith, and Souza Jr. And across that infield, 3rd to 1st, Longoria, Robertson. Daniel Robertson out at shortstop here tonight. Brad Miller and Lucas Duda with Wilson Ramos back behind the plate.
Robertson back off the disabled list. He had issues with neck spasms, and the Rays happy to have him back. He gives them a steady hand on the infield and great versatility. Swinging and a miss by Ron Braun, strike 1.
Got the disappearing fastball working here tonight.
Well, he's come out firing, that's for sure. Did he go? He did not, according to Gabe Morales down at first. Gary Cederstrom is the plate umpire and the crew chief tonight. Here's a good angle, and boy, he got out there very close. It's 2-1. That'll be a strike. 2-2. Piece of it foul. Well, one thing Faria already has going for him over his last outing against the Yankees, when he had a remarkable number. For a guy who throws as many strikes as he does, he only had 4 first pitch strikes and 20 hitters. He's got 3 already here tonight.
Well, we said coming in that was going to be the focal point, and I guarantee you they worked on that in his side session. Said attack that zone.
And he didn't miss by much right there. And it's 3-2.
His first 7 starts with the Rays, he had 11 walks. His last 3 starts, he's had 11 walks. So that's been something that has kind of kept him from putting up the numbers that he's capable of the last couple of times out.
3-2 pitch is fouled away up the right side.
talk about his mechanics an awful lot and how linear he is, how simple the mechanics are. Very little excess movement, and so if something starts to go a little bit haywire and you start to come out of your delivery, it should be pretty easier to get back into it.
And again, a foul ball battle going on here between Braun, the Brewers left fielder, and Jake Faria on deck. Travis Shaw, the former Boston Red Sox. Boy, what a year he's having for the Brewers. Seizing a chance to play every day and making the most of a great opportunity. Try the 3-2 pitch again. And it's a bit low, so he gives up the walk. A prolonged at bat by Braun, and he draws the walk.
Yeah, a very veteran at bat by Ryan Braun. Laid off a couple of close secondary offerings from Jake Faria and took that changeup there, that split into the dirt, and that will get Travis Shaw to the plate. Dwayne, how ironic that in a year where the Boston Red Sox are trying anybody that has previously played third base. Anybody gets a chance there. The one guy that they made the trade for is putting up these kind of numbers for the Brewers.
Yeah, by way of comparison, last year in Boston, this year in Milwaukee, already 24 home runs, 16 all of last year. 1 ball, no strikes, the count to Shaw. Into the dirt. Blocked by Ramos.
Yeah, this split right here just hangs onto it too long and spikes it well out in front of the plate. You can see him manipulating that baseball, trying to get a good grip, a good feel.
Faria's been good against lefties, and that's a part of it. Hitting 167 off him. And there's that pitch down at the bottom of the zone, and it's not called a strike. And Gary Cederstrom is a lot like the plate umpire we had in Houston last night, James Hoy. If you're going to get a strike down, it's got to be up enough and in the zone. And same thing up. He might go a little wider sometimes, but very rigorous in interpreting what's up and what's down. And now back-to-back walks.
The first two hitters, Jake Faria was in very good rhythm. 6 pitches, 6 strikes, 2 quick outs. And then all of a sudden, Ryan Braun battled him pretty good with a walk, and then 4 straight misses there to Travis Shaw. And now you find yourself in trouble seemingly out of nowhere. And this is a Brewers offense that has been struggling mightily, and the last thing you want to do is help them out, make them earn everything that they get.
Well, here's Jesus Aguilar, and he's had a nice year for Milwaukee. He was a waiver claim by the Brewers from the Indians last February. Hitting .284 with 11 home runs. And now there's a strike. Brought that pitch up a little bit. Runners aboard. He lays off this one in the dirt. So suddenly the Brewers with a threat here in the first inning. And with men in scoring possession, Aguilar this year is 19 out of 54. That's a .352 average. And it's high. 2-1.
You know, the Brewers are not going to be running here, but do you see how long Jake Faria is taking in between pitches? And I don't mean getting ready. I mean, as he comes set, holding on to that ball a very long time. And you start to get out of rhythm a little bit, and that's what we're seeing. Not able to get a consistent release point and get the pitches where he wants them.
This one is skied toward right center. Souza Jr. there waiting already. That'll take care of Milwaukee in the first. We'll go to the bottom half of the frame. Rays will have Corey Dickerson leading off. No score. Brandon Woodruff will go to the mound, making his major league debut for the Milwaukee Brewers. This will be his second attempt to do that. We'll have a little bit more on that later. Take a look at the starting lineup for the Rays, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Corey Dickerson up in the leadoff spot. Lucas Duda hits second, playing first, followed by Evan Longoria, and then Logan Morris in the DH. Steven Souza Jr. in right. Brad Miller at second base. Wilson Ramos hit seventh in front of Malik Smith, and then Daniel Robertson will bat ninth.
Well, Brandon spending the majority of the season in AAA. Colorado Springs, 15 starts, a 6-5 record. Don't be fooled by the ERA at 4.46. One of the most difficult places to pitch in the entire country. Colorado Springs AAA, where the ball absolutely flies. This guy's got a great arm.
Young man out of Mississippi State. He's 24 years old, and here is Corey Dickerson and the fastball. Dickerson trying to adjust to that right off the start. 304 now for Corey, fourth in the league in hits. Now collected 40 multi-hit games, coming off the game last night in Houston, in which he had 3. It's foul into the second deck down the left side.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 games for Corey in Houston were multi-hit games, and he got it started. Yeah, we talked about it in the pregame show. That game 1, he had 2 home runs. Rays lost that game, but the 2 home runs that he hit were to left field. Left field with power, and anytime you see a hitter start going the other way and driving the ball, you know that he's getting into a good spot.
Up the left side, that will be foul beyond the bullpen.
Yeah, that pitch right there beats Corey Dickerson a week, 2 weeks ago. Now that's the old Corey. That's the one that we're used to, getting to those tough pitches and fouling them off. Woodruff, a great pitch here. Fastball up at the letters. You see how quick the hands are. Just able to foul that pitch off and live to see another one.
Ball, 2 strikes. It features a change, and we just saw that. first look at Woodruff. Fastball, and it's fouled back.
Yep, and that's another one. We've seen a lot of teams get ahead of Corey Dickerson, and they try to close him with the fastball up and in. It's either up and away, way up and away, or it's up and in. And he's able to go up and foul both of them off and force Woodruff into a few more pitches and have to work just a little bit harder.
And a cut and a miss. Back again, off speed.
That's filthy. That is a filthy changeup, Dwayne. And you talked about he's got a good one, also a slider on top of it. Let's take a look at the changeup right here. Look how he turns it over. That ball starts at the knees and just works its way to the outside corner down around the ankles. That's a nasty, nasty pitch. And really, when you talk to people close to the Brewers, they say that's his third best pitch. Fastball, slider, and then here's your changeup. Well, that's a pretty good changeup.
Lucas Duda pitches a ball, fastball. Well, Woodruff tried to make his major league debut back in the middle of June. He was called up to pitch game 1 of a doubleheader against the Cardinals in St. Louis. 2-0, and he was preparing to make that start, stretching in the outfield, and came up with a hamstring issue. How about that? You're all set to make your major league debut. You're there, you're getting loose, stretching, and nope, you can't make it.
I mean, and think about who may have. Ball's going to drop in.
A looper there into left in front of Braun, and Duda has a base hit. He continues to reach base consistently since joining the Rays. Drop that one the other way. Toyota inside look, more on Woodruff.
Well, he was actually drafted by the Texas Rangers, and that was in 2011 in the 5th round. Ended up going to Mississippi State, elected to go to school, then became an 11th round pick by the Brewers in 2014. He slid in the draft because he had a strong arm, but very erratic command. He got dropped from the rotation in Mississippi State, and that caused the stock to fall a little bit. Well, the Brewers draft him late. They clean up his mechanics, and here just a couple years later, he's in the big leagues.
Yeah, and if you're an Elvis fan, you're happy to know he was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. His pitch is a strike. Fastball to start this sequence of pitches to Evan Longoria. Going
back to your story about the hamstring, can you imagine, who may have been coming to watch him pitch? You're in the stands,
yep.
And in your major league debut, you pull a hamstring stretching before the game. I mean, I've never heard of that before.
And that's a strike. 0-2. Yeah, how disappointing that is. You work for that one day.
Yeah.
To get it all started, and then you have to put on the brakes
against a division rival.
And it's not as if, well, next week you can come back and start again. No, now you've got to go through the whole process of getting well. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, getting well, and by the time you do, and hamstrings can be tricky, and by the time you do get that hamstring right, well, is there still a spot open? Because they're going to have filled it by then, and you may have just be out of luck.
Foul ball, a little piece of it, holds the count at 1-2. Rays have a base runner with 1 out in the bottom of the 1st, opening this series against the Brewers. So back into interleague play. The Rays 7-5 against National League competition this year. Brewers have done well against the American League. They're 9-4 in interleague play. One, 2. Fouls this one back. Always difficult, particularly I think in interleague play. It's really hard, at least difficult for me to get a read on interleague. As teams meet each other and they don't see hitters don't see pitchers and pitchers don't see hitters, and maybe you see a team every 3 or 4 years, and by then the roster's pretty much significantly turned over. 2-2. So all of those records you keep. Well, against the Brewers, Rays have done this. Well, you don't see them often enough for those to have any meaning.
No question about it. I mean, there's a lot of those interleague stats that are, you know, you take them, you go, okay, that's really nice, good graphics, and you move along.
Foul back.
I know for a lot of people that the novelty has worn off. You know, there's so much of it. It's been going on for so long that you'd like to go back to that balanced schedule.
Yeah, I'd vote for that.
Yeah, I would too.
Because it really has an exhibition quality about it versus playing inside a championship competition season.
The only problem in all of this is you would have to go back to the unbalanced, you know, leagues, because you've got 15 and 15. So that forces you to have interleague play whether you want it or not.
Two count. 3-2. So Evan fell behind and has worked a nice at bat to go all the way out to 3-2.
Boy, he really has. And this is odd for him because he's not been taking many walks lately and having long at bats like this. Been able to spit on a couple of good sliders where Woodruff's trying to get him to chase.
And back in is Duda over there at first. Aguilar playing first. Popped up, right side foul, and Aguilar beyond the coaching box for this one makes the catch. 2 gone.
Well, let's take a look at the Milwaukee Brewer defense. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we have Ryan Braun, Keon Broxton, and Domingo Santana. Across the infield, third to first, Travis Shaw, Orlando Arcia, Hernan Perez, and Jesus Aguilar, with Manny Pena behind the plate. I enjoyed our class that we took this afternoon.
Oh, with the names.
Yep.
Yep.
They've got some names.
Brewers PR staff came by, and we had a little desk with the inkwells in them. Logan Morrison, the DH. This one is down. And he did come in with a caveat that the Brewers, the Rays and the Brewers apparently played fewer games against each other than any other teams that they played.
That's about right.
Yep. And a lot of turnover in the process. There's a shot into left field. Duda makes an aggressive turn. He'll hold in second. Braun gets the ball back towards Shaw at third. So a nice hard hit line drive the other way for Morrison. The Rays have 2 men on with 2 men out for Steven Souza Jr.
Well, that fastball just stays up. It's moving away. And Logan Morrison just puts a tremendous swing on it. Lets that ball get into the front part of the zone. Shoots it out into left field. Keeps the inning alive. And now the Rays with a 2-out, 2 runners aboard chance.
You know, I don't know what's going to happen here, if the Rays are going to score runs or not. But Woodruff, for making his first pitch in the big leagues, he's out there as if he's been here before. His presence so far. A couple of hits here for the Rays.
And that's what you're always worried about. You know, you're making your major league debut. What are the emotions going to be like? Now, he looks calm, cool, and collected right here. We don't know what's going on the inside, but he is certainly presenting himself very, very well. I would absolutely agree with that.
Steven Souza Jr. Big night last night in Houston. And he takes this one high. 1 ball, no strikes. A home run and a double. Drove in 3 runs. will walk as well. Career high 23 home runs. Two and 0. Milwaukee had a couple of men on with 2 outs on 2 bases on balls in the first, and Aguilar was retired on a fly ball to right. Now the Rays 2 on 2 outs in their first, and Souza Jr. up in the count, 2 and 0. Ball 3. Home run last night came on a full count to left. Well, that really got the Rays started. It got them to within a run. Made it 3-2.
Well, they would go on from there. The bullpen, another lockdown job, 5 scoreless innings, and you come out with a win and a series win.
And the pitch too close. Souza draws the walk.
Now is when you start to wonder what's going on inside Woodruff's mind, because those were 4 straight fastballs, and it looked like he aimed all 4 of them. Not just around the zone, not trusting his stuff. Trying to feel it up to home plate instead of letting it rip, and he misses 4 times, and now.
Well, the Rays have the left-handed bat of Brad Miller, and as we know, big-time power here. Recently back off the DL.
Might be sitting on that fastball, and if he's trying to sneak strike 1 past me, try to make this a 4-run deficit.
And he takes that pitch for a strike, a fastball.
I fouled it off up here in the booth.
So Woodruff gets the count running in his favor. Again, the hard stuff, and it's foul back.
Yeah, and he's coming right after Brad Miller with it too. And the problem with this is you take the first one, he gives you another one, you foul it off. Now you start thinking about the changeup that Corey Dickerson saw. He could try to crowd you with the fastball, then go out away with it. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to that changeup right now.
Upstairs. Now we'll see.
Now you do it.
Yep.
Change the eye level. Okay, get it. You know, go for the chase. That's great. That's the luxury that you have pitching in an 0-2 count. I can go ahead and take that shot. Well, if he doesn't go for it, it has set up another pitch.
One-two, and a ground ball back to the mound. A flip over to first for the out. The Rays load him but leave him. And at the end of an inning, we have no score. Inning, Jake Faria back out there for the Rays. Today's jackpot brought to you by the Florida Lottery, and the ERA leaderboard finds Jake Faria in at 293, fifth behind Corey Kluber, who is under 2 at 177. Chris Sale, Sonny Gray, and Drew Pomeranz ahead of Faria.
It's some pretty good company right there, and Jake Faria, he has earned that number, thrown the ball very, very well for the Rays, really picked this team up, because when he came up and made that first start, he wasn't guaranteed a second or a third, and here he is 11 in with that ERA.
First pitch to Perez is upstairs. How about this? You know, the Rays come in 57 and 53. Pretty well positioned here as they eye the next couple of months of the season to the finish line. The strike, and it's 1-1. Faria has 5 wins, and with 6 wins is Austin Pruitt. Those two between them, 11 of the 57 wins for the Rays this year.
Yeah, and Austin Pruitt went on that run coming out of the bullpen, and where he was pitching, you know, 2 1/3, 3 innings, 3 1/3, and pitching in those, you know, the innings where the Rays would take the lead. They take the lead because he's holding down the fort. So the vast majority of his wins coming out of the bullpen. Faria starting.
The line drive base hit to left. Perez aboard to open the second.
Now think about the contributions that the Rays have gotten. That's a great example, Dwayne, you just gave. 11 of the 57 wins between those two guys. You think about the year Souza Jr.'s put up compared to a year ago. Dickerson, you know, I mean, what Peter Borges has done for this team, and Malik Smith and filling in. Well, the catchers position as far as offensive production and what they're doing defensively. Not too many holes.
Yeah, it's the best the Rays have seen from that catching spot, period. It's been that good.
I guess we're not going to talk about it then.
Swing and a miss. The fastball by Manny Pena. Young catcher out of Venezuela. Hitting 7th in the Brewer lineup. Ground ball third. Longoria to Miller. That's 1. To Duda. That's 2. 5-4-3 on the double play. Takes care of that leadoff single. That's one thing Faria's been able to do at key times.
Yep. Get the ball low, get it on the ground, and let his infielders do their work. And with that shift on, you had Brad Miller retreating to the bag. Let Evan Longoria started. That's what veterans do. Jake Faria, you would never accuse him of being a big ground ball guy. I mean, he's under 40%, but the ability to get them when you need them, that's what sets you apart.
Broxton, the center fielder. Pitch is a strike. Shift on for Broxton. Miller on the shortstop side of second. And there's another strike. 0-2. Fly ball, center field. It's Malik Smith grabbing it. He'll take care of the Brewers. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the second, scoreless.
Fox Sports Sun, and some good news for the Tampa Bay Rays. Daniel Robertson has returned to the starting lineup. He is back from the 10-day DL after dealing with severe neck pain, but Kevin Cash says they're excited to get him back because of his versatility and not to mention his stellar defense. Now, as for the Rays roster moves today, in order to make room for Robertson, they optioned Taylor Featherston to Durham. Tampa Bay has also sent lefty Blake Snell down to AAA Durham, and they have recalled left-hander Jose Alvarado to add a fresh arm to the bullpen. Dwayne?
Okay, thank you, Alex, for the update. And, you know, with Snell going down, a couple of things involved in that. First pitch to Ramos is a ball. Wilson Ramos, Malik Smith, and then David Robertson will hit third in this inning. Or Daniel Robertson. Happy to have him back. The thing about sending Snell down is a base hit. The Rays put the leadoff man on. I think it's right in line with his exit of the game last night after 4. The Rays find themselves in a race. It's not that they're necessarily down on him, because they still believe he can be a very good pitcher at the major league level. But he has some progress to make to get there, and right now, in another situation, they might be interested in trying to develop him at the big league level a little bit. They can't afford that right now. So he'll go down, get some innings there, try to continue his development. Ground ball, and that's shot through the left side. Malik Smith is aboard. Ramos stops at second, and Smith on the first pitch. Puts a first and second nobody out situation coming.
And the two swings here by the Rays hitters, you talk about seeing the ball well. Wilson Ramos, a great job of staying back and driving that ball right back up the middle. And Malik Smith swinging the bat with authority and popping it through the hole on the left side. Great start here for the Rays in the second. You know, the the Blake Snell deal, you're absolutely right. And that's how they've been handling him in game. You know, after 4 innings, where maybe if you're out of the race or it's earlier in the season, you give them that 5th or 6th inning to see if you can get through it. You don't have that luxury now. And you can't have somebody up here in the starting rotation that's going to continually compromise the bullpen and force those guys to work too hard. And so, you know, that you could kind of see that coming. I think the idea too is what Blake Snell needs to do more than anything else is go down to AAA and develop a repeatable delivery. And until he does that, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a couple of innings where the guy looks like he could throw a perfect game every time he takes the mound. And then there'll be a couple of innings where you wonder, where in the world did Blake Snell go? And so until there is a repeatable delivery each and every time he throws the ball to home plate, that's what you're going to get. It's going to be a hodgepodge. And we've seen there's been 30+ starts now in the big leagues, and it just hasn't played out yet. Not to say that it won't, but the repeatable delivery has to be a part of it.
2 strikes here to Daniel Robertson. That second pitch, a very good pitch on the corner to put him down 0-2 after the foul ball. And a swing and a miss. And so just off the disabled list in that rehab assignment, and Robertson is out on strikes. And in that, including this one, look at the location of this pitch at 95.
And he wanted it in. I mean, that's a case where you miss your location. They want that in. You can see where the catcher, where Pena was set up, and he yanks that thing all the way across the plate. But still, you end up getting the result you want because of the action and velocity on the pitch.
Now the top of the order with 2 men on. Here's Corey Dickerson. Strike. Strike the count on Dickerson. 2. So Dickerson behind in the count. Rays find themselves with base runners again here in the 2nd inning. Trying to cash in. Woodruff ahead, 0-2 in the count on Dickerson. Ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, he's healthy at 95 there. Pretty steady in that neighborhood with his fastball velocity.
And not much difference between the 4-seam and 2-seam velocity.
And a cut and a miss.
Wait until you see. This is a foul tip, and if it's able to drop out of the glove of Manny Pena, it's going to be just a strike. But look how he catches it. You talk about by either. Oh, come on. How does that not rattle out? It got stuck there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Don't go look at that at bat. That will, as a hitter, that, I mean, tick you off because you foul it off, and where that ball stuck in the mitt, 99 times out of 100, that ball's going to drop out, careen off that glove, and you're going to get another chance.
Lucas Duda at the plate with 2 outs and 2 men on. Fastball is off the plate wide. Both these pitchers, Faria and Woodruff, made more pitches in the first than they would like. Woodruff had 28. Faria had 23. Jake had a 9-pitch second. Duda takes ball 2. 2-0. Ball 3. Three and 0 the count.
Boy, and Evan Longoria put a good at bat on him before popping out his first time up.
Yeah, a 9-pitch at bat.
I think you want to see him with the bases loaded. But you're in a bad spot here with Duda, who's swinging the bat well.
And there's ball 4 to load the bases. A walk to Duda. He's on for the 2nd time. Ramos goes to 3rd. Smith to 2nd. And Evan Longoria, as we mentioned in the open, has just gotten better with each passing month this year. Coming off the series in Houston in which he hit for the cycle. Only the 2nd Ray to do that. And he's up in a key spot here after seeing 9 pitches his first time up.
You know, in those 35 games that we highlighted, Evan has driven in a go-ahead run 9 times. And this is what he's done with the bases loaded. He had a good prolonged at bat against Woodruff, so nothing's going to catch him here by surprise. You like this guy in these types of spots.
Foul ball, and that gets the catcher. Steadied by plate umpire Gary Cederstrom. Well, that was a pretty good hit to the mask. Takes an additional look. He says he's okay.
just put Jet Bandy on the disabled list. He's done most of the catching. They have Stephen Vogt, who's on the DL with a left knee strain, the former Ray and former Oakland A. A couple of guys who could catch. They're on the DL. Strike two. Woodruff is ahead in the count. Ground ball headed to short. Garcia with the force play in second, and the Rays leave him loaded for the second straight inning. No score. Break brought to you by T-Mobile. Corey Kluber leading that Cleveland rotation, and yesterday a 3-hit performance and going the distance against the Yankees. 12 straight games now with 8+ strikeouts, and a 3-home run day for Paul Goldschmidt of Arizona. 25 Goldschmidt, third in the league and over the National League in runs batted in now. Jake Faria, first pitch in to Orlando Arcia is too close. Arcia, the shortstop, his 23rd birthday today. And he drives this one to the deep part of the ballpark. One hop and to the wall, retrieved by Smith. Arcia rounding second, on his way to third, and the throw will not be in time as he stays on the bag. Lines up at third, his second triple of the year. Took a little while for that play to develop. Once Smith tracked it down in the deep part of the ballpark.
Boy, he did a great job of getting on top of that pitch. Arcia driving it out there. As you see, it gets out into that little corner. Malix has got to go chase it down and then throw it in. And everything with that play just took a hair too long. Arcia sensed it, and he was able to get into third safely.
Derek Thames. So a leadoff triple, and the Brewers have a threat. Big cut and a miss. Correa struck out Thames on 3 pitches to start this game. That's a strike. The case where the plate was widened a little bit, but up and down can be a bit of a challenge.
And Wilson Ramos helps out his pitcher. You know some of these catchers, they set just a little bit farther off the corner than normal. They angle their body towards the corner, and then the way they receive the ball presents it better, and you get some of those calls. The Rays, I'll tell you, the work that they put in with Jamie Nelson in working on their receiving, and the Rays have 2 very good ones. Wilson Ramos has made a ton of progress since coming over to the team, and Jesus Sucre, very good defenders, but they put a lot of work in on that technique, and that technique leads to extra strike calls.
Oh, 2. A little bit wide. Now 2-2. After getting ahead, Correa even with Thames.
Doesn't have great feel yet for the split here tonight. We've seen a couple of them where he's held on too long and spiked them, and a couple other ones that have just kind of floated off the plate away.
Ground ball. That's a base hit out of the reach of Miller. And in comes Arcia with the first run of this ball game.
And Dwayne, the lack of feel for the split change is what leads you to then go, you know what, forget that. I don't have a good feel for that. I'm going to go to the breaking ball. And that's what he comes with right here, the curveball. And it stayed up enough that Thames was able to get out and around it and hit it hard enough into the hole that no one had a chance.
Thames picking up his 47th run batted in. Santana losing his helmet and swinging through that high fastball. Fastball up, out over the plate.
Yeah, that fastball, it's like at times Faria's throwing a hologram. You see it, it's not really there.
Looks real.
Yeah, there's an inspiration behind that analogy too. We may get into that.
Okay. It's all about entertainment. Swing and a miss.
Speaking of which,
yes.
another one.
Yeah. And he has the jump on him. Correa got out of a 2-out spot in the first. He's been touched for a run in the third. Triple and a base hit. Thames the runner. Pitch inside, 1-2. Interesting. You know, Thames with a base hit off the curveball, and that was an issue for him the first time around in the major leagues. And he did see a lot of off-speed stuff and a lot of breaking stuff, and had trouble with it. Went to Korea and saw almost nothing but that and learned to hit it.
That's one way to do it, I guess.
Pitch inside, 2-2. It's, well, you're going to do it or you're not. And he did. Had some great years over there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was celebrity status.
You know, when he was coming back into the States and it was who's going to sign this guy, the fact that you know someone from Korea is coming back into Major League Baseball and different teams are jockeying for position to sign him, that lets you know that he was unbelievable over there.
And Santana out on strikes. Well, our Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And a little look into that, his time in the major leagues before going over there. And then those 3 years in Korea, he had 348 with 124 home runs in those 3 seasons.
Boy, and an MVP to go along with it. Obviously, Korea is not the same level of Major League Baseball. However, it certainly allowed Eric Thames to develop his game, and he came back over here and lit the MLB up the first part of the season.
Ryan Braun, he had an extended at bat his first time. It was after the first one, lofts it up the right side, but that's going to be out of reach of Souza Jr. or Duda. So the Brewers have the first run on the board tonight. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mentioned the Rays picking up some ground. Still a half game back of Kansas City for the second wild card spot. The Brewers are only a game and a half out in the National League Central behind the Cubs.
They had that 5.5 game lead going into the All-Star break. And since then, well, they came out of the All-Star break, won their first 2 games, and since then it's been extremely difficult. But yeah, with that Cubs loss today, they continue to climb. All these races pretty tight.
That's a cut and a miss.
There's a few runaways in Major League Baseball, but then the other divisions and the wild cards, everybody bunched out.
Boston started the day 2 up on the Yankees and 3.5 up on the Rays. Boston home tonight against the White Sox, scoreless in the top of the 4th at Fenway. It's fouled, out of play again. And the Indians have a 4-0 lead on the Yankees. That game's in the top of the 4th inning in Cleveland. Right there's the breakout now in the East. The Rays starting 3.5 back.
Well, the Yankees make all of those moves at the trade deadline, are universally applauded, and then starting on August the 1st, they have not won a game and in danger of losing the 4th straight here tonight. Can't score.
Braun out on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts.
Boy, a slider right here. And not exactly the one that you're looking for, but Ryan Braun comes up empty. But yeah, that's the issue with the Yankees, that not being able to score. And when we saw that team, they're very pitchable. Very pitchable. If you can execute and locate, I mean, not even all the time, most of the time, you've got some guys that are going to give away big pieces of the plate, and that's what's happening right now. You think about what Kluber was able to do to him last night. You get these guys out there, and Kluber does that to a lot of guys, but they have really struggled offensively here recently.
Well, a lot of baseball to be played, and a lot could happen. And we talked about this before. I think we both feel this way. The Rays kind of like their positioning right now and the way this team is starting to develop. Moves they've made. You know, it can be fun. It'd be nice for Kevin Cash the last couple of months here to see this team go on a little run and let him make the moves that he can make, because he's going to have some choices, especially handling that bullpen the way it stacks up right now.
Yeah, I think they're poised to make a really nice run here. They've got depth, with the position players. They're going to score enough runs. The starting pitching will continue to give them a chance to win on most nights. And then what we've seen out of the bullpen here recently with the different styles, the different faces, they have been shut down. Shut down. Even Brad Boxberger last night getting a 2-inning, 2 perfect innings, his longest outing in a long, long time.
Yeah, and getting out of that spot when he entered the game, that is big for the team, but probably big for Boxberger individually as well.
Yeah.
That gives you a little extra lift in your step.
No question. No question. You saw those numbers the last 3 games of that Houston series.
Duda takes care of that hot shot by Shaw.
His hands are so good.
It's amazing since he's been over here. I mean, knock on wood, he's done almost everything right. 1-0. Some of Duda's handiwork down there fielding that ground ball.
I'll tell you, he's got soft hands, very soft hands. His ball was ripped pretty good, and he just get it there, skip over to the bag. Pretty routine play on a ball that was sharply hit.
Logan Morrison pops it into left center field, and that's going to drop for a base hit. In contrast to that hard line drive he hit the first time up, he just drops this one in perfectly, and it's 2 for 2.
Well, and you get Woodruff right back into the stretch, and now it's time to cash in. And you get a breaking ball here, just a spinner in the middle of the plate. And Woodruff, fortunate that Logan Morrison didn't really knock that thing out of here, but he drops it in for a hit nonetheless, and Rays are off once again.
So twice the Rays have left the bases loaded. Now they put the leadoff man on for the second straight inning. Here's Steven Souza Jr. Well, the Rays, and we've talked about it all year, how they've been so good offensively in the first 5 innings of a game. And the 3rd inning has really been their inning. They've scored 88 runs in the 3rd inning and hit 31 home runs in the 3rd inning. Both lead the majors. Steven Souza Jr. takes the pitch down.
And you think about the 3rd time through, a lot of times you're starting down in that 8-9 hole, maybe at the top of the order, depending if you were able to get a couple of base runners in the first couple of innings. And so 2nd time through, and this lineup can hurt you. They've been good in the 1st inning too. Early in games, if pitchers aren't locked in, they've given them trouble.
And a take there, down to first. Morrison back in, 2-0 the count on Steven Souza Jr. Tommy Garcia against Trevor Bauer in that Yankee-Indian game. They're in the we say the top of the fourth. Cleveland with that 4-0 lead. Now in the bottom of the fourth in Cleveland. Ground ball third, back of the bag. Shaw to Perez. They throw it into right field. Morrison up on his way to third. It's going to be first and third. Montana backing up the play, going over there to get the errant throw.
You know, Travis Shaw's throw, he kind of double clutched. He was a little bit out of rhythm, and that's what that caused that throw to sail. And you'll see it right here. Gets the backhand, and right there, just a little bit of trouble getting out of the glove, and he's not able to drive the ball at second base. It sails, and it sails out into right field, and really, that's nothing new for this team. They have the most errors in the National League. They'll add to that total right here, and that gives the Rays a golden opportunity.
First and third, nobody out. Sixth error of the year charged to Shaw. Fielder's choice and an error. Brad Miller up in another key spot. Fouls it.
This is an inning too that you feel like the Rays could put up a bunch. You know, they've had their opportunities. They've pushed Brandon Woodruff around. They've forced him to work very hard in the early going. And this is a chance to put up a crooked number.
Foul the other way, out of play. Strikes. Upstairs. 1-2. And that pitch disappearing down and in. Miller is out on strikes. So the slider right there, and a big strikeout for Woodruff.
A deluxe slider down and in, and he gets a good smother job back there by Manny Pena. Oh boy, he needed that in the worst way.
Wilson Ramos. He lined a base hit into center his first time. Rays trying to take advantage of an error. It's a little wide. Souza Jr., the runner at first base, 8 out of 10 in the steal department. And a looper, short center. Here comes Broxton to make the catch. And a tag to throw to the plate up the line, but Morrison, no attempt to come down that line beyond the bluff. Ramos is the second out.
That ball got in on Ramos. You could hear the crack of the bat. Did not catch it clean at all. Closer to the label, and therefore that ball just is not going to have a lot of carry, and that brings Keon Broxton in to make the catch, and he's moving towards home plate. Nothing you could do there. Now you need a 2-out hit.
It'll be up to Malik Smith right now. Smith singled his first time. The Rays with the bases loaded in the first left them that way. Bases loaded in the second inning and left them that way. It's a fastball for a strike call to Malik Smith. First, stepping back to the bag, Souza Jr. Out in front of that one, 0-2.
We've seen a good changeup, and this is coming actually better than advertised, or better than what I was led to believe on his changeup. It's been good with the action on the pitch itself, but the arm action is what sells it, and that's a traditional, more of a circle changeup. You see, you know, Faria has the split changeup, a lot of different grips for that pitch.
Souza, the pitch is wide. Now he stops, and they've got him in a rundown, and they're going to tag him. And that's going to end the inning. So Souza caught between first and second, and the Rays trail 1-0 through 3. Out there in right field. Frankly, I'm not sure what was going on there, because it's not set up if you're going to try to pull a play to steal a run from that guy at third.
Yeah,
that's not the guy to do it with.
Not right, not at all, not at all. And you know, Steven Souza Jr., he got an okay jump, but about halfway to second base, he started to pull up. Watch here. There's the jump. And now already are starting to pull up. I don't know, maybe he felt something in the foot. Who knows? But you're right. You don't think that you would set that play up to do the get caught and let the runner from third try to score if it's Logan Morrison coming down there. And Logan didn't seem to be in on the play because he was headed back towards third.
Yep.
So that makes you think maybe it wasn't the play. And if it wasn't, it's just another episode of Souza.
Yeah, something was Souza there. Including us, because we're left in the dark. I Souza us right there because we don't know. How could you know? Aguilar strike the count.
All I know is that he got his jump and almost immediately started to pull up.
Yep.
Maybe he felt something. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's a good guess.
That's all it is.
I know this. The Rays have missed some opportunities, and boy, you don't like that.
No. Bases loaded twice, granted with 2 outs, but bases loaded twice, then a first and third with nobody. Yeah, that usually comes back to haunt you. Let's hope that's not the case.
Aguilar swings and he misses, and he's out on strikes. That will be strikeout number 4 for Faria.
Well, slider here, gets some good depth with it too. Look at that ball just bottom out.
Hernan Perez up here. He had a base hit his first time, and then was erased on a double play. 1 out into the 4th. Milwaukee got a run in the 3rd when Arcia tripled and Thames singled him home. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rays have out hit Milwaukee 5-3, trail 1-0. Fastball was in. And now we have an even count. Perez at second base tonight, but he has played all over the place on the infield and in the outfield. Pop up foul. Ramos has room and makes the catch. That'll be the 2nd out. 2 up, 2 down in the 4th. MLB.com at bat. Your #1 mobile app for live Rays baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Rays home screen icons and app features, as well as live game video highlights, StatCast, and even more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Manny Pena, the catcher. Pena grounded into a double play his first time. Bats with the bases empty this time around. All of these Brewers facing Faria for the first time.
A lot of times that advantage goes to the pitcher because he's the one that's dictating the action, and they're trying to react to it. That's why it's always interesting to see in these types of matchups that second and third time through. Do guys start to make the adjustment? Do they start to see the ball a little bit better?
This one is fouled right back, and that's going to even the count. 2-2. Milwaukee scored the run in the 3rd. We're in the 4th. First of a 3-game series. Swing and a miss. You got him. Strikeout number 5 for Faria. 1-0 Milwaukee. Baseball on Fox Sports Sun, brought to you by your local Ford dealer and by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays down by a run, opening the series in the homestand. Alex Smith will lead it off here in the bottom of the fourth. He was at the plate when, technically speaking, Souza Jr. was caught trying to steal. Pitch is a ball. Robertson, Daniel Robertson next, and then will be the top of the batting order, Corey Dickerson. 2-0. Boy, the Rays left the bases loaded in each of the first two. Had a couple men on in the third, left one. Popped up. It's headed out of play into foul territory. To the left over the screen.
Fans are having a rough time tonight. Fans are having a rough time tonight.
Well, it's only the first game of the homestand. It gets better as the stand goes on.
You hope. They've been a little bit out of it. I saw a guy on a foul ball, a lazy foul ball, going up to the second deck. He swung at it with his baseball glove as if he was, I don't know, I'm not sure. Just smacked the ball away. I'm like, use that to catch it.
And a line drive base hit into center. Speed aboard. Smith will hold after making the turn at first. And he is 2 for 2.
Maybe if we don't talk about the Rays, another opportunity presenting itself. This time it gets cashed in. But mislocation, Malik Smith inside the baseball. Solid contact.
Daniel Robertson struck out his first time. It's one of 4 strikeouts recorded by Woodruff. He's used all 3 of his pitches to get strikeouts tonight. Dickerson on a changeup. Robertson on a fastball. Struck out Miller. Slider down and in. And here's Robertson with a man on, nobody out. Back in. Alex is 16 of 20 in the running game. Popped up, jammed back at third, and that's caught by Shaw. It's the first out, 1 on 1 out. Tomorrow the Rays take on the Brewers, and the first 15,000 fans get their very own Rays themed Marvel Iron Man figurine presented by Crown Automotive Group. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com today. Rays up. Corey Dickerson has had a tough go of it so far against Woodruff. 0 for 2. A couple of strikeouts. Swinging and missing a change in the first. Striking out, swinging again in the second, and a move to first. Smith is back in. More time, ball loose. Smith up, and it's within reach, close to Aguilar.
Oh, Woodruff been paying an awful lot of attention to Malcolm Smith over there. A number of throwovers as he comes set. He's holding the ball for an awfully long time. Trying to control that running game any way that he can.
And a move. Oh, they picked him off. Malcolm Smith picked off first. The Rays lose the base runner there.
But he wants the Rays to take a look at it. We'll have to see. As he was walking, you see he was leaning. He started to go. And that tag, he's going with that left hand to the back of the bag. And let's check the. Yeah, they got him. They got him before that hand gets there. It's certainly not close enough to, to take a look at. Don't want to waste it on that.
Alex Smith picked off. Now the bases are empty for Dickerson.
Well, the slow play by Woodruff worked because he was taking an awful lot of time and holding the ball for a long time, and he got Malix to finally commit just a hair to a move towards second as he picked over, and that's all it took.
It's 1-1. Two strikes. Pitch darting in on him. Right back. 1-2. Well, the Rays have had runners in every inning. Not one of them to cross the plate yet. Ball back to the mound, and the toss to first in time. The Rays do not score in the fourth. On to the fifth. 1-0 Milwaukee. Great moment on this day back in 2004. Toby Hall It's his first career grand slam. Came in the 7th inning to give the Rays a 5-4 lead over Boston. And Rocco Baldelli preserves the win, throwing out Dave Roberts at the plate. He tried to score on a base hit to center in the top of the 9th inning. All of that on this date in 2004. Rocco, now the Rays first base coach. The Rays trying to figure out how to score against Woodruff tonight. They're down 1-0. Milwaukee scored a run in the 3rd on a leadoff triple by Orlando Arcia. He'll be the second hitter here in the 5th. Broxton, Arcia, and then Thames due up. The pitch is too low from Jake Faria.
This is where Jake Faria just needs to continue to battle himself and keep his team just at a 1-run disadvantage. You got to feel like this Rays lineup is going to come alive at some point.
High foul lifted out of play. 2-1. Faria coming off the 4-inning outing in New York. That was on Sunday. He threw just 51% of his pitches were strikes. Foul ball, and it's 2-2, and it catches Ramos. There's a line, no decision against the Yankees. 3 runs, 3 hits, but 5 walks to go with the 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, that was a battle. That, you know, the 8 strikeouts speak to his stuff and his deception. Then the 5 walks, a lot of deep counts, had to work extremely hard, and we haven't really had to, or hadn't seen Jake have to work that hard. Things have been, not that they're easy, but he's been able to make pitches when he needs to. He's been able to self-correct rather quickly if things start to get a little bit out of line. Oh, another bad play. That was right there. I'm telling you, the boys are struggling tonight out in the crowd.
Well, the only thing I can figure is just it's early. It's the first game of a 9-game homestand, but yeah, you got to make that play.
You know what? You're not going to get a better hop. You just aren't.
On at the old ballpark.
Oh man, we have seen a lot of gloves go to waste tonight up in the stands.
Broxton out on strikes. So that's strikeout number 6.
Slider, those fingers right on the side of the baseball, ripping across it, and Broxton pulling off of it wildly for out number 1.
Orlando Arcia. Fastball, he misses with that one. Put away. 1-0 the count. Arcia with that triple, and the run scored in the 3rd. He's been hot since about the middle of May, hitting well over 300, and that got his average up to 276 coming into this game. There's a strike. It's 2-1. Two and 2. Top of the order, Eric Thames is on deck. Now it's full. Up, carry play. First of a 3-game series with Milwaukee on this homestand. Boston will be in for a couple, then Cleveland. Cleveland in for 4.
Yeah, weekend series, that'll be a big one.
3-2s lined into left for a base hit. Marcy is 2 for 2. He has half the hits picked up tonight by the Brewers. We go to the top of the order. Eric Thames.
It'll be interesting too to take a look at Cleveland's schedule, because you had Kluber throw last night, Thursday night. That's a Thursday, Tuesday, Sunday, unless there's an off day somewhere sprinkled in there. And then all of a sudden maybe he gets pushed back and the Rays miss him, and he would be the only guy that they would miss in a 4-game series. Have to take a look at that schedule and see if there is an off day. And
yeah, you're kind of hoping that works out.
Right? How about that? You're going to face the Indians 4 games, and the one guy you miss is Corey Kluber. Not too bad. He's been great. We saw him on the head in that list, an ERA of 1.77 since beginning of June.
James bounces this one foul. Well, anytime you get a break like that, you want to take advantage of it. But one game at a time, and the Rays holding the Brewers so far to 1 run and missing some opportunities to score here.
Being told that the Indians are off on Monday, same day the Rays are.
Okay.
Well, if he's not a keep me on every 5th day guy, he will miss that series.
Down 1-1.
But yeah, what you'd like to do is, like you said, we can talk about that stuff. The Rays, they're worried about tonight's ball game and trying to continue the momentum that they were able to build in the second half of that road trip. Started off not too good. But boy, it ended on a high note. And you're going to be home for 10 days, 9 games.
Yeah, now's the time to make some ground.
Boy, I'll tell you. And you know what? If you go out further than that, you know, basically 17 of the next 21 days are going to be here in St. Pete, Tampa, St. Pete, Tropicana Field. You've got the 9-game, 10-day. You go out for 4, then you come right back. So you're going to be here a while.
Yeah, you got 15 games over that 17-day span at home. Interrupted by that 4-game series in Toronto. Well,
yeah,
I'll tell you that it's here.
It sets up well. Yep. It really does. It really does. Get a chance to play in this ballpark and get comfortable here.
That's the way it breaks out right now.
Yeah, you're already. You're right here, and then you got all those home games through the 13th. You go on the road for 4, then right back home. I'll tell you, that's some good.
And there's strike 3 call. Thames not happy. Thames out on strikes for the 2nd time. Looking this time. Walks away, shaking his head, and another look at that pitch.
Now that is certainly good enough to be called. I mean, that's right on the edge of the plate.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but it's a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jake Faria really drove it to the spot.
Santana pitch out, but nothing doing with Arcia over there. He's 10 of 14 in the running game, and the Rays thought they might have had something going there.
Yeah, not a bad thought either. You know, this team, they lead the National League in stolen bases with 90 coming in. Number of guys in this lineup that are a threat to run every time they're out there, and RC is one of them.
Ground ball to short. And that throw a little wide, but reaching in is Miller to take it from Robertson. A man left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Rays still down 1-0. Coming in to hit in their half the 5th. Coming up August 8th from 11:30 to 12:30. Meet Arestas, Estrada, and Raymond for a Rays back-to-school pop-up event at Almaset's office in South St. Pete. Play games, win prizes, and receive free school supplies provided by Almaset. Lucas Duda to open the bottom of the 5th against Brandon Woodruff. First pitch is a strike. Rays with base runners in each of the first 4 innings. They've left 7. They've had 1 picked off. Lost another one on a caught stealing. Now strike 2.
Another good changeup. I'd say when Woodruff has gone to that pitch, he's been able to put it in very good spots. Late action, moving down and away from the lefties. That's who he's mostly used it against.
2 now.
You know, overall, you got to be impressed with the stuff, number one. But even something that you intimated about earlier in the start, about his mound presence, his composure out there. And he's been in some tough spots here in this ball game and has been able to work his way right through it.
Hit on Duda and he fouls it back. I thought he was going to make a big league start back in the middle of June in St. Louis when he suffered the hamstring injury, and it took him a while to get back. He was on the disabled list from the 13th of June to the 24th of July. And now here we are, the 4th of August, and he finally gets a chance to make his major league starting debut. Pitching into the 5th so far with a 1-0 lead. Evan Longoria is on deck. Ground ball into right field. And with the shift on, takes care of Duda. one away. Well, the shift pays off here for the Brewers, and in this series, in fact, the last couple series, we've seen three of the shiftiest teams in baseball, starting with Houston, then the Rays, and the Brewers.
Yeah, and then look at the drop-off to the White Sox. So you've got three teams that are setting the pace.
To strike to Evan Longoria.
Is it all surprising to you that the Fighting Todd Callises are the shiftiest team in baseball?
No, somehow it all works out the way it's supposed to. 1-1. We saw that innocent-looking face while we were over in Houston.
Who was anything but.
That's right. It's good he's not here to defend himself.
Without a doubt.
2-1 the count.
My lease from Houston's coming up in a couple of days. If I should renew.
Yeah, a long time.
I'm going to tell you something. A major league season, your longest series is 4 games. So that every time you have a 4-game series, just like New York, you feel like you're there for a long time.
You're a little antsy on that 4th day.
Especially if it's a night game.
Yeah.
You know, if you go, 3 night games and a day game, or like New York, you had a couple of day games. You're still there 4 days, but the last day is a day game. When the last day is a night game.
Yep, high fly ball. Broxton and Braun out there. Oh, Braun ran it for a moment and had to go back a couple steps.
You know what? And when you see the correction, usually it's too late in this ballpark. About the time that you realize you need to make the correction, the ball's hitting the turf. And Braun is able to, right here. Uh-oh. But look at those eyes. Those eyes never left. And was able to find it.
Two outs, Logan Morrison. He's 2 for 2. Rays have 6 hits. They've out-hit Milwaukee 6-4, but they trail 1-0. Logan hit the ball hard his first time up on a line for a base hit, and blooped one in the 3rd into left center. Got another hit. Soft liner into center. And he is 3 for 3. And that will get Steven Souza Jr. to the plate.
Just continues to victimize Woodruff. Changeup. Stays back just enough to catch that ball off the end of the bat, and strong enough to get it over the infielders' heads and out into the outfield. We'll have a night.
Souza officially 0 for 1, drew a walk his first time. Fastball is upstairs. Woodruff had pitched a little over 72 innings at AAA this year, giving up 74 hits and 8 home runs at Colorado Springs, where he was 6-5. Fastball, and it's now 1-1.
Yeah, and that could be a tough place to pitch too. You're talking about the light air, the ball flying like it does. Notorious hitter's park out there in Colorado Springs, so his numbers actually are better than how they're presented.
One ball, 2 strikes. Miller on deck. in on him, and he pops it up foul. That will be out of play. About 3 rows back, and then a big hop.
People have just quit trying now. They're just
Covering.
Yeah.
Souza out on strikes, frustrated. Rays leave a man again. We go to the 6th, 1-0 Milwaukee. Brandon Woodruff hooked up in this one. Woodruff making his major league debut. Faria, a couple of strikeouts early and 7 in the game through the first 5. Gave up a run in the 3rd inning on the leadoff triple by Orlando Garcia and the base hit by Eric Thames. While the Rays have been frustrated by Woodruff. Through 5, they have yet to score a run. They've stranded 8.
That's what hurts so far. Bases loaded a couple of times. They had a 1st and 3rd with nobody out. Woodruff got a big strikeout, a soft fly ball to shallow center, and he was able to get out of that inning. But Jake Faria, you know, he's holding his own, and he's keeping the Rays right there close as we get into the latter part of this game.
We move into the 6th. Ryan Braun, the number 3 hitter, with a walk and a strikeout tonight, leads off. First pitch fastball misses. Travis Shaw will be next. 3rd baseman, then first baseman Jesus Aguilar. Ball and a strike. Nationals beat the Cubs in Chicago today. So at the moment, Milwaukee just a game back of Chicago. There's a strike. 2-2. Ground ball right side. A nice play by Duda, covering. Faria's there in time, and another good pickup by Duda at first base. Not only is he swinging the bat well, but He's playing some kind of defense.
You know what? And Kevin Cash has been keeping him out there. I mean, he has not come off that position. You see how far away he is from first base, off the bag, and a nice backhand stop. And Jake Faria, a good job of getting over there. No hesitation. Make sure that you're going to beat the runner to the bag and get that first out.
Well, nicely done. Not only seeing the ball well at the plate, but he sees the ball well defensively.
He does. He's got soft hands and has made a litany of different types of plays. You think about that ground ball that almost handcuffed him that he made look pretty smooth. That little backhand while going down to the infield dirt.
Yeah, he made that play against Shaw the last time Shaw was up there. Fouls it back 1-2. Shaw part of the trade of the Brewers with Boston. It was a deal that sent Tyler Thornburg to Boston. The Red Sox feeling that he could help shore up the back end of their bullpen. He's had a difficult time with shoulder issues and on the disabled list.
And think about Carson Smith too, another guy that Boston was counting heavily on as they were trying to build that bullpen. And
nice job there. Swing and a miss. Shaw over that one, and that's strikeout number 8 tonight.
And he's arguing that he fouled that ball off into the dirt. And I think it was Wilson Ramos's glove that kicked up that dirt. Craig Counsell, the manager of the Brewers, going to come out. Let's take a look. Foul tip. Does Ramos get it before it gets? Yeah, that's a nice catch. That was his glove that kicked up the dirt. If that was foul tipped, that's a catch.
Yeah. You know, that is pretty amazing. Not only that, Ramos comes up with that, but Gary Cedarstrom can make that call and make the correct call. That's not easy.
No, especially when you see that dirt kick up. Was that the baseball? Was that the tip of the glove?
Yep. Strike to Aguilar. Pitch number 100 right there for Faria.
Nice ratio.
One. Yeah, that's about average, up from 51%, which you talk about being unusual for Faria. That's what it was last time. Foul ball out of play, 1-2. After watching Faria in his first 9 starts, to have him make that 10th one and struggle with first pitch strikes and strikes in general. This 51 is really unusual.
And really tough to pitch through, which is why he ended up obviously having a short outing. That's almost impossible to make happen.
2-2 now. So Romo loosening down there in the bullpen. Sergio Romo. Here's up in the bullpen for Milwaukee. And he went for that one, a pitch in the dirt. Down to first. Ramos to Duda. So 9 strikeouts for Faria. Bottom of the 6th inning coming up. 1-0 Milwaukee. On is brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers and by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. At the Trop tonight, the Rays opening the series against Milwaukee, beginning a 9-game homestand. Brewers in for 3, Boston for 2, Cleveland in for 4. Jake Faria over 100 pitches now through 6 innings with 9 strikeouts. And the Rays trail 1-0. And here's Brad Miller getting his third look at Brandon Woodruff to open the bottom of the 6th. A little tap right side, glove there by Aguilar, and he makes the play unassisted. 1 pitch, 1 out. It's only 87 pitches, 1 out into the 6th inning for Woodruff after he made 28 pitches in the 1st inning.
I was going to say, for as much trouble as he's been in, that pitch count's under control. That bullpen is not.
Stretching going on down there.
There's a lot going on. I mean, between the stretching and Hader's hair.
Yeah, Josh Hader, the lefty. Jared Hughes, the right-hander, continues to loosen. Ramos fouls one out of play. Strike 1. They're definitely getting some big hair in the game now, and
yeah,
big beards too.
Yeah, beards, and that's all. That's the only option that I have. So I'm going to go that route.
Chopper foul, 0-2.
Yeah, you think you like DeGrom, Jacob DeGrom with the Mets, and right there Hader. That's
Bumgarner.
Yeah,
yeah, he's got a good look.
Yeah. Well,
hey,
they're short. Brandon Crawford, Stanek.
Stanek, yeah, he's got it going.
I mean, what is this? The 80s? The big hair bands are back, baby.
All circles back around.
It does. It's about time.
Yep. Just a little bit of that one foul, so Ramos still alive in the batter's box right now.
I like that one. Grow the beard, but you just keep it bald up top.
See how you can be partial to that.
Yeah. I think you can just peel it right off, put it on your nightstand, and put it back on the next morning.
For that, sort of the balanced look.
Sousa's one of those guys that I don't think he can lose the beard.
Line drive, and it's caught by Perez out at second. 2 away.
The beard's it's become Sousa. If he ever came in freshly shaved, if he ever did a Brad Miller and got rid of the beard, you wouldn't recognize it. Not at all.
What you would recognize would be the surprising expressions that you get once in a while. You know, that would give him away.
Some of the baseball movements, perhaps.
Alex Smith pops it back at third. Shaw tracking it, but he runs out of room. And that's a good strategy right there. Pick it up. Let it fall. Pick it up. See how well that worked out?
Well, yeah, all of his buddies have gloves. Everybody in that row's got a glove except for him, and he's the guy that ends up with the ball. And someone else's green hat. They probably left in the quad.
High fly ball. Santana makes the call and the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. On to inning 7, 1-0 Milwaukee.
Had a nice outing here tonight. 6 strong innings against this Brewers lineup. Working the fastball around the zone, the slider, the changeup. Changeup a little inconsistent from what we've normally seen, but he made it work when he needed to. Get the breaking ball involved. Nice curveball right there, kept on the outer half. He just continues to try to find a way to win. If everything's not working well, he'll go to something else. He'll use both sides of the plate. He'll climb the ladder. He'll drop below. And you cannot argue with that line right there. 6 innings of 1-run baseball, 9 strikeouts to go along with it. And at this point, you just hope that his offense can bail him out.
Sergio Romo is the new pitcher, combined with the Dodgers and the Rays, making his 36th appearance. Perez leads it off with the 6, 7, and 8 hitters up here to face Romo. Hernan Perez is a single and 2 at bats and rolls this one to first. Taken unassisted by Duda. Rays pitchers strike out 10 hitters in a home game. Visit RaysStrikeout.com and pick up a printed home voucher. Take that to any Cane's Furniture store within 7 days and receive a coupon for a free Whopper sandwich combo meal from Burger King. Piña's 0 for 2. Grounded into a double play and is struck out. He takes a strike. Romo pitched an inning in Houston last night, a scoreless inning, gave up a couple of hits with 2 outs, picked up a strikeout. The Rays won that one 5-3 and wrapped up a series win, taking 3 out of 4. Strike 2.
Now that breaking ball right there from Romo will just freeze you. And he's got a couple different versions of that slider. He comes from that extreme sidearm angle. And look how much space that ball finally just takes off and shoots right to the outer half of the plate. He's got a shorter version of that. Of course, then the fastball.
And that, it just continues to run right away from the hitter. 10th strikeout for Rays pitching tonight. 2nd out in the 7th.
You know, his ability to command this breaking ball. You saw the previous one. He'll start it at you and break it to the middle part of the plate, middle away. Then he'll start it on the inside part of the plate and sweep it all the way off. And it's hard for a hitter, especially down in the count, to be disciplined enough to take that pitch.
And what a great shot that was to make that point. Just to see that thing sweep all the way across.
It's like a fighter jet. You know, it spins, spins, spin, and then all of a sudden.
Broxton into center field. Smith is there. Little leap to make the catch on that one. 3 up, 3 down. We're in the middle of the 7th now. 7th inning stretch time. 1-0 Milwaukee.
Bottom of the 7th inning here. Brandon Woodruff back out there for the bottom of the 7th. He's been able to keep his pitch count in order despite being in a lot of trouble, especially early in the game where the Rays were able to load the bases a couple of times. But I'm going to tell you something. This kid in his major league debut has made big pitches when he's needed them the most, bringing up some strikeouts. He's been impressive. He's been impressive because he's pitched out of some tough jams. And in 6 innings, even giving up 7 hits and a couple of walks, has given up nothing as far as runs go, the most important category.
You see 93 pitches. The Rays had some opportunities early. They have had runners in 2 of the last 3 innings, but the last time they had a man in scoring position was the 3rd. They had men all over the place in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd innings and left 7 men on base. So time to go to work. Robertson to lead it off here in the Rays half. He takes the pitch for a strike. He struck out and fouled out to 3rd. Daniel Robertson. It's 1-1. Ball, 2 strikes. And a cut and a miss. He went up and got him to chase that one.
Well, that fastball, and that was the 2-seamer that he ran up and in. A little bit of arm side run. Gets it over the swing, and that looks like it's going to end his night. As Craig Counsell takes the stroll to the mound. What a job in his major league debut by the rookie Brandon Woodruff.
So the Brewers make a call to the bullpen. Brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Josh Hader's going to be the new pitcher and reliever Brandon Woodruff. Get a $6 value for $5 when you ask for Grouper from the Florida Lottery. So many life-changing prizes. Get your group ready. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. There is the starting pitcher. 97 pitches for Brandon Woodruff. 6 1/3 of scoreless baseball. And he gives way to Josh Hader, the lefty.
Well, the ERA .90, 24 punch-outs in 20 innings, but also 13 walks. And you can see why right there. He is a deceptive lefty, throws across his body, Fastball slider to the lefties, fastball slider changeup to the righties.
And now 1-1. Fastball there.
Gives you a little bit of, like I said, he's across the body, kind of a low 3/4 guy, and also a little deception with this. As he kind of lifts that leg up, there's a little bit of a spin, tries to show you his back just for a split second.
1-2. All these guys out of the bullpen give you different looks.
Different looks.
And big arms more and more.
I mean, usually these are the types of guys that will rely more on deception. You know, they're going to be that 88 to 91 or so, and Hader blowing it in there at 94 to 96 with that kind of deception. That's why he can get a lot of strikeouts, but also you got to be leery of the walk.
Pitch up, and he fouls it back. Mid-90s.
Try to follow.
There's a lot going on.
He's coming at you.
Yep.
He's not messing around. He got the little rocket action too on the mound. I mean, he's right up there with Brett Lawrie, Munenori, Kawasaki. Yeah.
Already a member of the team.
He is. He's our closer.
Yep. 2-2. Rajai Davis.
Yeah.
Veteran feel there on that squad. Full count now.
Well, and as a lefty, you just got to keep telling yourself to stay in there on him. Stay in. You're trying to think middle of the field. Let your hand quickness dictate where you're going to hit the ball.
And ball 4. And Dickerson draws a walk. Ray's got a base runner.
Like we just talked about it. A lot of strikeouts, great stuff, but the walk can hurt Hader. And right there, being up in the count, looked like he was in the driver's seat. He lets Corey Dickerson off the hook. A nice at bat by Corey Dickerson to take that walk, and now Duda.
Hader's last outing was Tuesday against Cardinals. He walked the only man he faced in that one. Now a walk to Dickerson, and here's Lucas Duda.
I'm telling you, Lucas Duda thinking left side of the field. He gets another pitch like that, he's going to line that ball, or look to line that ball the other way. You know, he's a big guy with a lot of power, but he will use the other side of the field.
That's a strike call, 0-2.
And that's why they threw that pitch. That's why you do it. You know, you start staying away. A disciplined hitter, a guy that's not willing to take the ball the other way, they'll just line it over there. This one, they come in, ends up driving it almost to the middle of the plate, but with the arm style.
Duda checks on a pitch down. Not enough of that zone to be called a strike tonight. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Balls, 2 strikes, mixing in a breaking ball. Longoria is on deck. Is called out on strikes there, and he got it up just a little bit more to get the low strike. 2 gone.
That's such a tough angle. The way he drives that ball, that's an extreme angle right there at the kneecaps. Well, at the very minimum, Evan Longoria should get a pretty good look. That wide arm angle here by Hader.
And the pitch is too low. Swarzak stretching down there, getting ready. Evan takes ball 2. 2-0. Longoria lines it toward the corner. That's a fair ball. Bounding back to Braun. Dickerson on the move. They're going to wave him home. Relay throw is in time. And you put the tag on him, and they cut down Dickerson, trying to tie the game.
What a rocket shot by Arcia. That was an absolute hose throw. And there's the tag.
Kevin Cash out. Chatting there with Cedarstrom.
Well, his right foot got to the plate, but I think the tag went to like the left knee or shin. So we'll see.
Well, Evan Longoria shot one. Dickerson cut down at the plate. Orlando Arcia is going to lead off the inning, and the Bonefish Grill catch and actually throw of the game. Arcia unloaded the relay. to cut down Dickerson.
Boy, what an absolute hose. And I'm going to tell you something else. There's that tag getting there before the foot. Ryan Braun.
Now here's Arcia, and the first pitch here in the 8th inning, and he hits it out off Sergio Romo. And so the last few moments belong to Orlando Arcia with that throw to the plate, cutting down a potential tying run. And then on the first pitch here in the 8th, he hits it out, his 10th home run of the year, and that makes it 2-0.
The old make a tremendous defensive play and then lead off the inning, and here it comes to life. Orlando Arcia got a pitch that was meant to be away. It stayed middle in, and he got into it. We saw a big swing from him earlier in the game. He was responsible for their first run, the leadoff triple in the 3rd inning. Boy, have yourself a night.
1-0 the count to Eric Thames. Well, Arcia with a triple, single, and home run tonight. To strike, and it's 1-1. Arcia, since about the middle of May, has hit well over 300 and has 3 hits tonight. 1-2, a foul ball there by Eric Thames. Smith looking for it, finding it, and finally catching it. Boy, that was not routine, as he was trying to track that thing in center field.
Get a wide angle, and I'll try to draw his route. There's a lot of starts and stops. I mean, this a towering shot, and he's going to go try to find it. Kind of drifting, and then in and in again. Make it another little turn. There you go. As long as you end up under the baseball,
yeah,
it's the bottom line.
And he had a little time to get there.
Yes.
It's so high. Santana, Domingo Santana. This is outside.
This roof is unforgiving. This roof here at Tropicana Field is unforgiving. Obviously, most of the time, it's to visiting teams. But boy, it can be tough.
You see how a baseball could blend right in.
Especially because these baseballs are not pearl whites. You know, you rub them up with that Mississippi mud, whatever it's called, and so you get a ball that really matches the color of this roof. And that's why if you lose sight of it, and we see Kiermaier do that a lot. He's obviously an advanced defender, but he'll turn his back to a ball to get to a spot and then turn back around and find it again. That's dangerous here.
Yeah, that's 2010 vision.
Yeah. Fighter pilot stuff.
Yeah, exactly. 3-0 now to Santana. How about this for the night? Arcia is having 3 for 3 tonight. The rest of the team's 2 for 23. 8 total bases for Arcia. And a great throw to cut down a potential run. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah. Quiet all the way through, and then Arcia in the 9 hole. Well, like I said, he was responsible for the leadoff triple in the 3rd. Thames then gets the base hit to right field on a breaking ball. That was the first run, and then obviously the solo shot here.
Full count on Santana. Alvarado's been up in the bullpen. He just joined the team, rejoined the team today. one. Short hop pickup by Miller up the middle. Adams shaded that way. Actually around on the shortstop side of the bag, and Santana's thrown out. Miller to Duda.
Yeah, some nifty glove work there by Brad Miller, because that ball was shot hard up the middle, and he had to make a short little stop on the hop. Here we go. The ball hit pretty hard. This little short hop, little pick.
Ryan Braun is 0 for 2. He walked his first time up. He bats with the bases empty. It's a 2-0 game right now, and a shot to center field. Malik Smith back on the track. Catches that one and runs right into the wall. Manages to hang on to the ball and keep his feet at the same time. He turned around. Hello. Catches the ball. Hello, wall. 2-0, middle of the 8th. Shots left. Speaking of shots, take a look at Malik Smith running this one down and then immediately turning and meeting the wall.
You know, here's the thing too, he never looked back, so he may have sensed that he was close, but he did not know that that was coming, and he stayed on his feet on top of it.
Yep. Well, the Rays here in the 8th inning. It's Hader against Morrison. Morrison 3 for 3 tonight. 1 strike on the foul ball here against Hader. He lifts it into center field. That's going to carry to Broxton. And he makes the catch. So with 1 out, bases empty. That's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Alex Cobb on the hill. We'll hear from him. And our right-hander, Doug Wechter, will break down Eric Thames. Steven Souza Jr. Rays running out of outs, and the Brewers are counting outs. Souza has walked, officially 0 for 2. Pitch is a strike. Two-run deficit right now. 0-2. 2 games ago, the Rays shut out Houston 3-0. Finished off the series with a 5-3 win last night, and they're down 2-0 tonight in the 8th. Foul ball keeps the count right there. 2 strikes. Brad Miller on deck. Close, but pitch down, and not one of Cedarstrom's favorites to call a strike. 1-2. And that's strike 3. Second time tonight. Souza Jr. goes down swinging.
Look at the spin on that breaking ball. Another one from the extreme arm angle and the sweeping action that covers an awful lot of ground. And Souza Jr. has to come in early.
Well, Trevor Plouffe will pinch hit for Brad Miller. Miller's lifted, and that will get Counsell out of the dugout. And a call to the bullpen. So Plouffe announced as the pinch hitter. It's going to be it for Josh Hader. Our Florida Lottery called to the bullpen. Your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, and by Pinch a Penny, the perfect people for a perfect pool. Tropicana Field, bottom of the 8th inning. Base is empty with 2 outs. The Rays call upon Trevor Plouffe as the pinch hitter, and Anthony Swarzak gets the call from the Milwaukee bullpen.
Well, coming over from the White Sox, 45 games at .224 earned run average.
Throws a strike to Plouffe. Woodruff 6 1/3. Hader an inning and a third. Now with 2 gone, bases empty, Swarzak matches up against the right-handed bat of Plouffe. the Brewers at the end of July, about the third week in July. And that's going to be a strike. Now they're on the corner. 2-2. That has Plouffe stepping out, regrouping.
Well, whatever he said, he got Gary Cederstrom laughing.
Yeah, and Plouffe shaking his head. And now, who's hit by that pitch? Swarzak hits Plouffe. So let's see if the Rays can take advantage of that in this 2-run game. Plouffe hit by a pitch while pinch hitting. Wilson Ramos going to be the hitter.
Well, look at this thing take off. Got it right on that left forearm. Two-seam fastball trying to go away. Doesn't quite get all the way out in front. That ball takes off, runs up and in. And you get the tying run to the plate after something like that.
Wilson Ramos in here. He has a hit, 1 for 3. 3 home runs for Ramos. Pitch is wide. Swarzak starting Ramos with the slider just away.
You've got to be wary of his power. That's what he's trying to do right there, is leave. Wilson Ramos has no interest in anything but a blast. He wants solid, hard contact, and he's gonna go after it.
Well, he missed the fastball, and it's 1-1. And he pops it up. Got a fastball. Aguilar in foul territory. The first baseman handles that one. Rays lead 1. We go to the 9th. Rays down 2-0. We've gone through 8. 2-0 Milwaukee. Eric Thames got a run home in the 3rd with a base hit after Orlando Arcia had tripled to begin the inning, and then it was Arcia to hit the solo homer opening the 8th. That was after he had made a great relay throw to cut down a potential Rays run, getting Corey Dickerson at the plate to end the 7th inning. So it's 2-0 as we go to the 9th. And Jose Alvarado will come in from the Rays bullpen, just rejoining the team from AAA. Pitcher number 3. And he's in against Travis Shaw, the left-handed hitting third baseman. Shaw 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Fouls that first one right off his leg. Strike 1. Plouffe stays on to play second after pinch hitting for Miller. He was hit by a pitch. Walking that off. 22nd appearance for Alvarado. No 2. Takes care of Shaw.
It didn't take very long. Didn't get that ball in. He pops that first one off of himself, and then a couple more, and he's done. Good slider there by Alvarado. Power arm. You see him rip that pitch down and away, and that bat's just not long enough to reach it.
Jesus Aguilar now. Aguilar 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts on the night. Foul ball. Corey Knebel up in the bullpen. For a strike 0-2.
How about the movement on that pitch? The velocity, it speaks for itself, triple digits. But boy, he gets some arm side and just comes right back.
And a cut and a miss, a wave and a miss. I'll tell you, Alvarado, these two hitters, Shaw and Aguilar, showing some stuff here.
Yeah, with another breaking ball. Look how tightly spun that is. Look at the depth, and look where Aguilar swung the bat. I mean, he missed that by a foot plus.
Perez. A little late right there at 100.
Deceptive depth. Oh, watch the swing. Nowhere near that baseball.
Oh, wow.
Nowhere near that baseball.
It's one of the replays of the year right there.
I'm not kidding. I mean, we see swings and misses all the time. But that one missed by plenty. Over the top and way out in front. But you know what? When you just saw what Aguilar saw, which was 99 and then 100, you're swinging like right now. And it turns out it's a breaking ball with depth. But that was something to see.
And strike 3 call. Well, he struck out the side. 9 pitches. 1, 2, 3. Jose Alvarado just turned in the 7th immaculate inning this year, and as far as we can tell, the 88th in recorded MLB history. He struck out the side on 9 pitches, getting Shaw, Aguilar, and Perez to work his way in style through the top of the ninth. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by W.B. Mason. Rich and Doug going to break down this rookies pitchers duel. Here from Kevin Cash in his press conference, and Alex Cordry will have interviews from the clubhouse. Corey Knebel will be the new pitcher, the closer for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, huge strikeout numbers. 88 and 50 and a third, but you know what? He'll walk some guys too. 30 walks, so great stuff, but can be erratic.
Alex Smith faced the tall right-hander, and the pitch is the ball. Knebel out of Leander, Texas. Went to the University of Texas, and now the closer for the Brewers. Two balls, no strikes. The Rays need a base runner, trying to get something going. Strike 2 and 1. Just in case you're wondering, that immaculate inning, a 9-pitch, 3-strikeout inning. Rafael Soriano did that in 2010, and Brad Boxberger had one in 2014 for the Rays. Foul ball. And Jose Alvarado, a 9-pitch, 3-strikeout inning. The 9th inning of this game. Count now at 2-2 on Malik Smith. Battles, fouling one back. The Rays had a man thrown out at the plate in the 7th inning. They left the bases loaded in the 1st, again in the 2nd. So far, no runs for the Rays on 8 hits tonight. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Brewers. That will take the count full. Deck, Daniel Robertson, just off the disabled list. And a cut and a miss. Well, a big strikeout there to start the inning. Keeping the leadoff man off the bases.
Yeah, that would have been huge, because you get that tying run to the plate with a couple of shots here to try to drive one out of here or get an inning started. But Knebel comes back and is able to pick up the strikeout on a full count heater.
89 strikeouts for Knebel. Robertson lifts it foul out of play. He has struck out twice tonight. Fly ball, short right. Santana's going to see it drop, and the Rays get a base runner. So Robertson drops one inside the right field line.
For power. Power coming up. You got Corey Dickerson dangerous. Duda, Longoria. This is all the Rays could have asked for here. There's your base runner. This ball gets in, and it jams Robertson. But you know what? Sometimes you just put that thing in the right spot, and he props it in.
Top side of the lineup now for the Rays. Dickerson, who had walked and was cut down trying to score from first on Longoria's extra base hit in the 7th inning, will be up representing the potential tying run.
Now you're going to see big fastball, big swings in this at bat. It's a fun matchup.
The pitch down. Went with that knuckle curve to start him. 1 ball, no strikes. He pretty much had fastball, knuckle curve.
Yeah, and that's fine. But he's going to eventually have to come with a heater. And when he does, Corey Dickerson is going to come out of his shoes.
Indians have beaten the Yankees 7-2. 1-0 the count to Dickerson. Oh, way to cut the miss.
He keeps
Came
throwing.
back with that knuckle curve.
And if he can throw it like that a couple more times, maybe you don't go to the fastball. That was filthy. There it is. That spin, even in super slow-mo. Well, not super slow-mo, but slow-mo. It's tight spin. Still got to be geared up for that fastball.
Well, you try to gear up for it. 98. Now it's 1-2.
Yeah, eventually you're going to see one, but he slowed you down twice with that hook. He comes at you with the 98, big swing, but he gets it by you, and now you may not see another one. We'll see. Boy, if you could duplicate that curveball again and keep it on the outer half, they're going to climb.
And a swing and a miss. He goes up at 97, and Dickerson could not get up there.
Now Knebel, I'll tell you what, he took it to another level this at bat. Curveball in the dirt. Going to come back another one, a deluxe hook right there, and then Corey Dickerson is going to see 2 fastballs, one at the extreme bottom of the zone and the other one up above the zone, perfectly located by the Milwaukee closer, and he gets out number 2.
Lucas Duda. A single and a walk, and he swings and misses that high fastball, expecting it, got it, tried to get up there and missed it. And now at the bottom of the zone, that knuckle curve. Boy, he's making some great pitches.
Now that right there, boy oh boy, much like the one that he threw to Dickerson for strike 1 in that at bat.
And a swing and a miss on the fastball. And Milwaukee takes the first game of this series. Knebel strikes out the side in the 9th, and it's a 2-0 final. So the Rays see the Brewers take the first game of this homestand in the 3-game series. Woodruff the winner, Faria the loser. 3 hours and 4 minutes to play it. Knebel saved it. Well, Brian Anderson and Alex Cordray, Dwayne Stantz, hope you've enjoyed the telecast, if not the outcome. Rays Live, the post game presented by WB Mason, is next.